who have you seen running after that? Who's inspired you to catch that ball?
Yeah. One. I think we were talking earlier actually, so I'll bring that up. When we were talking about Sir Bob Geldof.
Oh, the picture.
Yeah.
I saw the picture of you with. Is he Sir now?
Sir Bob Geldof.
Sir Bob Geldof.
Yeah.
I mean, all I remember is Live Aid. That put him on the map for me.
Yeah. Well, I actually went to a Chris Cardell event where he was one of the speakers, and the reason I went was because he was one of the speakers. There were 3 speakers for that particular event. One of them was Sir Bob Geldof, and another one was Richard Denny, who was one of the best sort of sales leaders of all time. And there was another guy who was American who sold off pieces of the Brooklyn Bridge, which was another story for another day. So we'll start with...
How do you know this stuff? Oh my God!
So
your analogies and your stories, I tell you.
But Sir Bob Geldof to this day remains the best speaker I've ever had the privilege of witnessing. And listen, I may get some of the actual facts slightly wrong, but he grew up in Ireland. His mother died young. His father was a towel salesman, so he was often away, like selling physical towels all over Ireland. And so his sister and he were latchkey kids. And they'd come and go as they please, and the outcome was that his sister barely ever left school and Bob barely ever went.
Never went.
And he started very young a publishing business in Ireland, very successful publishing business.
Oh.
And as a sideline, he had his band.
That was his side hustle.
That was his side hustle. He never intended, from what he said, he never intended music to be a career. He had his very successful publishing business, and that's the way he saw things going. Until I Don't Like Mondays struck the way it did. And then all hell broke loose. Yeah. Boom, Town Rats.
You do that to me a lot, you know that, right?
And so boom. And his music career took off. Fast forward to the Ethiopian crisis. And he was then married to Paula Yates. And the story he told was how one morning when Paula was doing the Tube, which for anybody our age will probably know, it was a music programme filmed in Manchester. Anybody younger may not know, but it was a real sort of cutting edge of its day. And Paula had left a note. She'd left at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to get to Manchester to do the Tube. And she left a note on the fridge, and a post-it note saying, anybody who comes into our house today, because they were known for drop-ins of people just coming by it, and seeing them. Anyone who comes into the house today must put £5 into the fruit bowl towards the Ethiopian bill.
Wow, okay.
And Bob said he went to open the fridge, saw the note, and he stopped in his tracks and thought, that just isn't enough. Surely we can do more than that. So he then rang the Tube, because this was pre-mobile phones, so he rang the Tube, asked to speak to Paula, asked who Paula was with, who was interviewing that day, and it was Midge. So he said, could you put Midge on the phone? So Bob spoke to Midge. They agreed to create a record to sell, with all the proceeds going towards the Ethiopia appeal. And that they were going to meet in 2 weeks' time, I believe in a hotel in London, to discuss where they'd got to. They met 2 weeks later. Neither of them had done anything. So one thought one was doing something, the other thought the other was doing something. You know what assume does? Made an ass out of both of them. So they then sat there thinking, looking in their black books of who they could rope in. Who do we know that we can rope in? And then there they wrote, Feed the World. And roped everybody in. Of course, everybody said yes. They did the major recording that they did with all of the humongous stars that were involved. And I mean, to then actually do, I've just gone crazy, to then do that global event with no technology that we have today.
That was revolutionary. I think that was just crazy.
Unbelievable. And I think this is what really resonated from Bob's talk that day, was that the reason that it worked the way it worked was that at no point did they put a ceiling on what they were aiming to achieve. At no point did they say, we're aiming to raise $1 million for the Ethiopian appeal. We are going to have 20 people on this record. We are going to, there was no specific. They literally said, we are going to wade in and see how deep we can go. And to hell with everything else. Let's see what we can achieve.
Isn't it amazing how much we can learn from that? Because as you were telling this story, the first thing that struck me was the post-it note. His reaction to the post-it note. That's just not enough. That just, it's not going to do anything. It's not enough.
I'm going to find a different ball to throw.
Exactly. Or even not a different ball. Even if it's the same ball, but I'm going to throw it further. I think that's the first thing that struck me, you know, and the second thing that struck me was what you just said about no ceiling. I always feel that a lot of people actually say to me, I do interviews or either live or in magazines and things. One question I do get is either as a woman, the challenges I face in business as a woman, or the challenges and the obstacles I face as a black woman in business. And my response has always been consistent. I don't see a glass ceiling. You know that glass ceiling we talk about? I don't see it. Who invented this glass ceiling?
Or any ceiling,
Or any ceiling. You know, the only ceiling I want to see is the one in the house I'm living in or I'm working like we're here. Do you know what I mean? If there's a ceiling there, then I put it there myself. So what you're saying resonated. They didn't put a cap on anything, a ceiling, they didn't bucket it into this or into that. I'm not taking away from, there will always be obstacles and challenges and all sorts of things, but that is part of life.
Yeah. And what really also brought to my mind was the what if. What if?
What do you mean, what if?
So imagine Bob and the what if that kept coming. So the what if we don't just do that, but we do this? What if we don't just have 3 people on this record, we have 333? What if we don't just do it in the UK, we do it globally? What if we then sell the record and keep putting it out to get more money?
Can you imagine the fun that was had?
Oh,
Again, I'm not saying there weren't any challenges and obstacles and all that crap in between, but can you imagine the fun that was had? I'd have loved to be there.
And the fun from overcoming those challenges,
That's right.
and overcoming those obstacles.
What we forget really is we spend so much time focusing on the challenges you face, what have you come across, those are important, don't get me wrong. I wish somebody would say to me, describe to me how much fun you have had getting to this point. That's a question we don't ask often, you know. How much fun did you have getting to this point? Because as much as there have been crazy things in the entrepreneurial journey or whatever you're doing, there have been some crazy fun parts of the journey as well. And I would have loved to be part of that journey with them.
Oh,
can you imagine?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it would have just been incredible.
Ah.
It's incredible to listen to the story, but can you imagine to have actually been part of it?
The thing about a great story is I love hearing you tell it because it struck you, it resonated with you, it's inspired you, and even the way you're telling it, it's not him telling it firsthand, but you're telling somebody, so I'm thinking, God, I wish I was there.
I can honestly, hand on heart say, I don't think there's a week that goes by that I don't think of that story.
Really?
Hand on heart.
Why?
Because of the way that it resonated. And when I'm thinking of something that is a challenge, I think of Live Aid. I think post-it note to Live Aid. And so I then think, gosh, how difficult can it be? There's got to be a route. There's got to be a solution.